There are wars that define galaxies. Wars that span centuries, consume worlds, and reshape the very fabric of reality itself. Master Chief had fought in one such war. The Covenant, the Flood, the Forerunners, each enemy more impossible than the last. Each battle a razor's edge between extinction and survival. But this mission felt different. The artifact buried beneath Installation Zeta's shattered surface pulsed with energies that didn't belong to any known Forerunner classification. UNSC scientists called it a dimensional anchor. Others whispered it was a door to something older than the Halo array itself. Chief stood in full Mjolnir armor, energy shields flickering as tremors rolled through the underground chamber. His Team Spartan fire team Crimson moved in tight formation, weapons trained on the monolith ahead. It hovered 3 meters above the ground, rotating slowly, covered in symbols that shifted between Forerunner glyphs and something else. Something that hurt to look at directly. "Chief, readings are spiking," Cortana's voice crackled through his helmet, distorted by interference. "Whatever this thing is, it's not just technology. It's reacting to space-time itself. If it destabilizes, we contain it or we destroy it," Chief replied, his voice calm, absolute. No hesitation. That's what Spartans did. They solved problems. They closed doors that shouldn't be opened. But some doors refused to stay closed. The artifact screamed a sound that wasn't sound, a frequency that bypassed ears and went straight into the spine. Reality buckled. The chamber walls bent inward, then outward, as if space itself was breathing. Chief's shields flared red. His team staggered. And then the monolith erupted in light so bright it erased shadow, erased thought, erased everything but the sensation of falling through stars. At the exact same moment across dimensions, across the bleeding edge of existence, Doomguy stood in Hell's deepest stronghold. He didn't know its name. Didn't care. It was a nexus, a cancerous node where demonic energy converged and spread like infection. He'd followed the trail of slaughter through burning gates and screaming voids, through armies that thought numbers meant victory. They learned otherwise. They always did. The Slayer's armor was scorched black, dripping ichor from 1,000 kills. His hands gripped the super shotgun with the casual certainty of a man who'd perfected annihilation. Ahead, the Nexus pulsed a writhing mass of flesh and fire, anchored to reality by chains forged from tortured souls. Icons of sin whispered his name. Archdemons manifested to stop him. He didn't stop. Shells roared. Demons exploded into gore and ash. The BFG charged with a hum that vibrated through Hell's foundations. Doomguy didn't strategize, didn't plan. He simply moved forward, an inevitability wrapped in rage and ceramic plating. When he fired, the Nexus didn't just break it, screamed asterisk. The blast tore through demonic architecture, collapsing pocket dimensions and severing the threads Hell used to anchor itself to the mortal plane. But Hell doesn't die quietly. As the Nexus imploded, it reached outward in desperation, grasping for anything to sustain itself. And in that moment of cosmic desperation it found something. A resonance. A tear in another universe where Forerunner technology had just fractured space-time. Two energies, one ancient and calculating, one primal and furious, collided across the void between worlds. Space didn't just break. It shattered asterisk. Master Chief felt weightlessness, then crushing pressure, then nothing. His HUD went dark. Cortana's voice fragmented into static. He tumbled through a corridor of light and shadow where stars burned backward and galaxies folded into themselves. He caught flashes of massive structures, golden thrones, crimson blades humming with impossible energy. Voices whispered in languages his translator couldn't decode. The Force sensed him, not as a presence, but as an absence. A void shaped like discipline and duty. Doomguy fell through the same corridor, but Hell's energy clung to him like smoke, burning away as he passed through barriers that separated dimensions. Demonic essence evaporated. The screaming stopped. He tumbled in silence, surrounded by light that didn't hurt, stars that didn't burn, and whispers that tried desperately to touch his mind. The Force brushed against him and recoiled. It couldn't find purchase, couldn't interpret the absolute singular purpose that defined the Slayer. Where others had conflict light and dark, hope and fear, there was only one thing in Doomguy's soul: the enemy dies. The Force had never encountered anything so pure, so utterly devoid of complexity. It was like trying to grip a blade made of will itself. Somewhere in the vastness between galaxies, ancient Jedi spirits stirred. Sith echoes paused in their eternal hunger. They felt the disturbance do ripples in the cosmic ocean that didn't belong. Two intruders who defied categorization. Master Chief's fall slowed. He drifted through a void where nebulae pulsed with colors that felt alive. His armor systems rebooted life support, motion tracker, shields. Everything nominal, except location. His HUD displayed coordinates that made no sense.
Star patterns didn't match UNSC charts. No slipspace voice signal. No friendly IFF tags.
He was alone in an unknown galaxy.
Training took over. Adapt. Survive.
Chief oriented himself toward the nearest celestial body, a planet, blue and green and wrapped in cloud cover. He felt gravity pulling him, impossibly gentle, as if the universe itself was guiding him downward. His thrusters fired in controlled bursts, adjusting trajectory. Wherever he was, whatever had happened, one thing remained true. A Spartan completed the mission.
And his new mission was simple.
Find out where the hell he was, and find a way home. Doomguy's fall ended differently. He didn't drift, he dropped, slamming into the hull of a massive starship with enough force to crater metal. Alarms shrieked. Crew members in strange white armor rushed toward the breach. They raised weapons blasters, sleek and humming with energy. The Slayer stood slowly, fists clenched, eyes burning behind his visor.
They should have run.
The Force is not simply energy. It's consciousness woven through reality itself, the collective breath of all living things, binding atoms and empires, stars and souls. It flows through intention, emotion, destiny. For millennia, Jedi and Sith alike had studied its currents, learning to ride waves of precognition, telekinesis, persuasion. The Force was absolute.
It touched everything. Until now.
Master Chief drifted through the void, suspended between stars, and felt pressure.
Not physical, something deep.
A weight settling against his thoughts, probing gently like scanner beams, searching for weaknesses. His Spartan neural implants registered the intrusion immediately. Cortana would have called it an external influence attempt.
Chief called it a threat.
He didn't fight it.
Fighting implied struggle.
Instead, he simply focused. Years of conditioning, augmentation, and combat discipline formed a wall around his mind, not out of fear, but out of training. Spartans controlled their emotions,
controlled their reaction.
The pressure increased, curious now, pressing harder as if trying to understand what it had found.
Chief's heartbeat remained steady, 60 beats per minute.
His breathing calm. The pressure slid off him like water off armor plating. Somewhere in the Force, ancient Jedi spirits paused. They'd encountered disciplined minds before, Jedi masters who'd spent lifetimes meditating, warriors who'd trained in mental fortitude. But this was different. This wasn't resistance born from philosophy or connection to the Force. This was something colder.
Mechanical.
A mind that functioned like a weapons system: identify threat, neutralize, move forward.
No anger. No fear.
Just purpose. The Force could almost read him. Could sense duty, loyalty, a core of something unshakable. But it was like looking through frosted glass, shapes visible, but distorted. Incomplete.
And then there was Doom.
The Slayer descended toward a crimson moon orbiting a gas giant, pulled by gravity and momentum. As he fell, the dark side of the Force, drawn by violence, by death, by the oceans of blood on his hands, rushed toward him like sharks sensing prey. Sith echoes materialized from the void, ancient spirits who'd spent eons clinging to hatred and power. They saw a warrior drowning in carnage and thought, *, another soul to corrupt *. They were wrong. The dark side crashed against Doomguy like a wave against bedrock. Whispers of power, promises of strength, visions of domination and endless conquest filled the space around him. Any other being would have felt temptation. Even Jedi Masters struggled against the seductive pull of the dark side's simplicity. But the Slayer didn't hear seduction. He heard *demons*. His fist clenched. The Sith echoes *screamed*. They weren't destroyed, not immediately. But they felt something they hadn't experienced in millennia. *terror*. The Slayer's presence didn't darken the Force. It didn't twist it or corrupt it. It simply negated anything that tried to touch him. The rage inside him wasn't the passionate fury the Sith wielded. It was absolute. Eternal. A furnace that consumed corruption itself. One Sith Spiritan, ancient Dark Lord who'd conquered systems and broken Jedi by the dozens, reached deeper, trying to grip the core of Doomguy's being. What it found was simple. The enemy dies. Not philosophy, not belief, just fact. Immutable. Eternal. The spirit recoiled so violently it tore itself apart. Across the galaxy, Sith Inquisitors paused mid-interrogation. Sith Lords meditating in their strongholds felt a chill that had nothing to do with the dark side. Something had entered their reality, something that didn't play by the rules they'd spent lifetimes mastering. On a rebel listening post orbiting a dying star, a former Jedi named Kale Vordoon sat in meditation, reaching into the Force for guidance. The rebellion needed every advantage against the Empire's relentless expansion. He sought visions, futures where hope triumphed, where tyranny fell. Instead, he saw two figures. One walked through fire and laser blasts with calculated precision, moving like a machine but thinking like a leader. Armor green and gold, visor reflecting explosions. The Force circled him cautiously, uncertain how to categorize what it found. Disciplined. Unbreakable. But not cold beneath the armor was something deeply human, fiercely protective. The other figure didn't walk. He stormed. Demons died in his wake. No, not demons. Stormtrooper. The vision distorted, unclear. But the rage was unmistakable. Except it wasn't the selfish, consuming rage of the dark side. It was righteous. Fury aimed with absolute precision at oppression, at cruelty, at evil itself. The Force couldn't touch him. Couldn't guide him. Could barely perceive him. Kale gasped, breaking meditation. Sweat dripped down his face. What are you? He whispered to the empty room. He didn't know if he was afraid or hopeful. On the Imperial capital world of Coruscant, deep within the Emperor's inner sanctum, Darth Sidious felt the disturbance. His yellow eyes snapped open. Precognition, his greatest weapon, stuttered. Futures he'd carefully cultivated flickered and vanished like candle flames in a storm. He reached into the Force, pressing outward with all the dark power he'd accumulated over decades, and found two holes in the fabric of destiny. Not voids, he understood. These were absences. Places where the Force simply couldn't penetrate. One resisted with discipline so absolute it might as well have been a Forerunner shield. The other didn't resist it. Erased. Consumed. Annihilated anything that tried to take hold. The Emperor's withered hands gripped his throne. He'd spent years eliminating threats to his vision of order. Rebels. Political rivals. But those were threats he could predict, manipulate, destroy. These two, he couldn't see them clearly. Couldn't predict their choice. For the first time in decades, Palpatine felt something uncomfortably close to uncertainty. Master Chief's boots touched down on solid ground, a forest moon, trees towering hundreds of meters high, mist rolling through valleys below. His motion tracker showed no hostiles. His shields recharged fully. He checked his MA-5D assault rifle ammunition, nominal. Cortana's voice crackled back online, fragmented but present. "Chief, where are we?" "Unknown," he replied, scanning the horizon. "But we're not alone." He felt it not through the Force, but through a soldier's instinct.
Eyes watching. Powers measuring.
A galaxy holding its breath. Doomguy landed on a platform of black metal, surrounded by stormtroopers raising blasters.
They shouted orders he didn't understand.
He didn't need to.
They fired.
He moved. The rebellion operated on hope and desperation in equal measure. Every victory was slim. Every loss catastrophic. On the ice planet of Halthor IV, a rebel cell scrambled to evacuate before Imperial forces completed their blockade. 3 star destroyers hung in orbit like guillotines. TIE fighters screamed through frozen skies. The rebels had hours at best. Their transport ships were outdated, their weapons cobbled together from salvage. They were going to die here. And then a green and gold armored figure walked out of the wilderness. Commander Liara Son, former Republic officer, now rebel tactician, watched through frozen breath as the stranger approached. He moved with mechanical efficiency, scanning the base perimeter, analyzing defenses. Her guards raised blasters instinctively. "Stand down," Liara ordered.
Something about the figure felt calm.
Not threatening, just present. Master Chief stopped 3 meters away. His voice emerged flat, professional. "You're surrounded. 3 capital ships, orbital bombardment imminent. Your defenses won't hold." Liara's jaw tightened. "We know. We're buying time for the civilians." Chief's visor tilted slightly, a gesture almost human.
"Then you need a new strategy."
He accessed his HUD, overlaying terrain data with troop positions. "Your shield generator is exposed to northern approach. Move it here." He pointed. "Set charges on the ice shelf, collapse it when their ground forces advance. Creates a bottleneck. Your transports launch from the southern plateau in staggered groups. I'll handle air superiority." "You'll handle air superiority?" Liara repeated, incredulous.
"Alone?"
Chief didn't answer with words. He turned toward the nearest artillery emplacement, modified a targeting solution, and fired a single shot into the sky. 3,000 meters up, a TIE scout exploded into shrapnel. The wreckage tumbled into 2 other fighters, creating a chain reaction.
"Move your people," Chief said.
"We have 18 minutes. Liara stared, then activated her comm.
"All units, new plan. Follow the armored stranger's orders." Now,
Master Chief fought like a conductor leading an orchestra. He didn't shout.
Didn't inspire with speeches.
He simply optimized. Every rebel fighter found themselves in the right position at the right time.
Ambush points appeared as if by instinct.
Shield generators repositioned flawlessly. When Imperial walkers crested the ridge, the ice shelf collapsed exactly as calculated, burying half the mechanized column. When TIE bombers dove toward fleeing transports, Chief manually operated anti-air cannons, his targeting so precise it seemed prescient. 11 bombers destroyed in 40 seconds. The rebels didn't cheer, they were too stunned. In orbit, the Star Destroyer captain watched his ground forces falter. "Who is that?" he demanded. His sensors couldn't classify the anomaly. Armor composition unknown. Energy signatures didn't match any Imperial, Rebel, or Force user profile.
Just a soldier.
Terrifyingly effective soldier. "Launch all fighters," the captain growled. "I want that target eliminated."
Chief's HUD tracked the descending TIEs.
80 fighters. He ran probability calculations, 96% likelihood the rebel transports wouldn't all escape in time. Acceptable losses by military standards.
Unacceptable by his.
"Cortana," he murmured. "I need transport." "On it, Chief," commandeering that Y-wing on the western pad. Liara watched the Green Warrior sprint toward her bomber, leap into the cockpit, and launch without asking permission.
She wanted to be angry.
Instead, she prayed. Chief tore through atmosphere, handling rebel flight controls with the same cold efficiency he'd applied to Pelicans and longswords. The Y-wing wasn't fast, but it was tough. He angled into the TIE formation, shields absorbing incoming fire, and began systematically dismantling Imperial air superiority.
One shot, one kill.
Every torpedo counted. Every maneuver calculated 3 steps ahead. TIE pilots reported the impossible: a single rebel bomber outflying their entire squadron. When Chief Shields finally collapsed, he didn't retreat. He rammed the nearest Star Destroyer's hangar bay, ejected at the last second, and landed on the destroyer's hull. Then he started sabotaging it from the outside. Across the galaxy, on the industrial nightmare of Forge World Kryn, the Empire crushed dissent with mechanical precision. Factories built war machines.
Slaves died in
Inquisitors hunted Force-sensitive children to convert or kill. It was a model of Imperial efficiency. Then Doomguy arrived. He didn't land. He crashed a meteor of ceramic and fury, punching through a troop transport, skidding across durastial plating, and rising in a cloud of sparks. Stormtroopers opened fire immediately. Blaster bolts filled the air like rain. The Slayer walked through it. Bolts glanced off his armor. The few that penetrated burned, scorched. He didn't care. His shotgun roared. 2 stormtroopers disintegrated. He grabbed a third by the helmet, slammed him into the ground hard enough to crack armor and bone, then hurled the body into a cluster of reinforcements.
No tactics, no strategy.
Just overwhelming, relentless violence. An Attesty walker stomped around the corner, chin-mounted cannons tracking. Doomguy didn't dodge. He charged. Blaster fire carved trenches in the ground. He leapt onto the walker's leg, climbed its chassis while it tried to shake him loose, tore open the cockpit hatch with bare hands, and pulled the pilot out through the opening. The walker collapsed. The Slayer moved forward. Imperial command watched through surveillance feeds, voices rising in panic. "What is that thing? Is it a droid? Some kind of Wookiee berserker? It's killing entire battalions." An Inquisitor 10th brother, a former Jedi broken and remade by the Empire, ignited his spinning lightsaber and descended to the factory floor. He was a master of fear, of overwhelming opponents with dark side fury. He saw the armored figure ahead, surrounded by stormtrooper corpses, and smiled beneath his mask. "You face the power of the dark side now, creature." Doomguy turned.
Saw the red blade.
His armor systems registered it as superheated plasma, magnetically contained.
Dangerous to most.
He'd fought worse. The Inquisitors struck spinning slashes designed to intimidate, to overwhelm. Doomguy didn't block. He grabbed the lightsaber mid-swing, his gauntlet absorbing the heat, and yanked. The Inquisitor stumbled forward, shocked. No one grabbed a lightsaber. It was impossible. The Slayer's fist crushed his mask. The Inquisitor crumpled. Doomguy released the lightsaber, letting it clatter away, and continued walking. Behind him, explosions rippled through the factory as fuel reserves ignited. Ahead, a Star Destroyer was docking, deploying hundreds more stormtroopers. He reloaded. On Halther IV, Master Chief commandeered an escape pod, ejected from the sabotaged Star Destroyer, and descended as the massive ship began listing out of orbit. Rebel transports escaped into hyperspace. 0 casualties. Liara's hands shook as she processed the reports.
1 soldier.
1 impossible soldier had turned certain defeat into flawless victory. "Who are you?" she whispered to the stars. On Kryn, Garrison Command evacuated, abandoning the factory complex. In 12 minutes, 1 armored warrior had neutralized 800 Imperial soldiers, destroyed 4 walkers, and killed an Inquisitor with his bare hands. The galaxy was beginning to notice. Something had entered the war. 2 somethings, and neither followed the rules. In the hidden enclaves where surviving Jedi gathered scattered temples on forgotten moons. Meditation chambers carved into asteroids, whispers spread like wildfire. The Force carried news in ways holonet transmissions never could. A disturbance. 2 disturbances. Presences that defied understanding, moving through the galaxy like stones dropped into still water. Former Jedi Master Terra Sinub, ancient even before Order 66, sat in meditation on the forest moon of Bakura. His species lived for centuries, and he'd spent most of his watching the forces ebb and flow. He'd seen the Republic rise,
Seen it fall.
witnessed the Jedi's hubris and extinction. Now, in his final years, he felt something new. A warrior without the Force, he murmured, voice like dry leaves. But not empty, disciplined, purpose incarnate. His milky eyes opened. How does one resist the Force through sheer will? Across the meditation chamber, younger survivors debated. Cale Vordun, who'd seen the visions, paced anxiously. I've tried to read him in the Force, the one in green armor. It's like trying to grip smoke. He's there, definitely alive,
Definitely conscious.
but the Force just slides off asterisk. No emotions to manipulate, no fears to exploit. How do you fight someone the Force can't touch? You don't fight him, Terra replied softly. You understand him, or you stay out of his way. And the other one? Asked Nira Val, a Togruta Jedi who'd survived by hiding her abilities. The one who killed 10th brother?
Silence fell.
No one wanted to articulate what they'd felt through the Force. The second presence wasn't resistant, it was hostile to anything that tried to manipulate it. Dark side energy didn't corrupt him, it evaporated like water on molten steel. He was fury given form, but without the selfishness that defined dark side rage.
He didn't seek power, didn't crave dominion. He only wanted enemies dead.
The Sith fear him, Cale said quietly. I felt it through their echoes. They tried to touch his mind and recoiled. Whatever he is, he's the antithesis of corruption. Then perhaps, Terra said, he is exactly what this galaxy needs, a force that destroys evil without becoming it.
Nira shook her head.
Or he's a catastrophe waiting to happen. Unchecked violence, no matter how righteous, leads to destruction. The Jedi failed because we became warriors instead of peacekeepers. If we endorse this slayer, what does that make us? The debate continued, circular and uncertain. The Jedi had always relied on understanding, on diplomacy, on the Force's guidance. These two warriors operated outside those paradigms. It was terrifying.
And strangely hopeful.
On the Sith world of Malakaravyard planet, where an ancient superweapon had turned thousands of Jedi and Sith to stone, a different conversation unfolded. Darth Vader stood among petrified statues, his respirator hissing in the dead air. He'd come seeking knowledge, power, anything to strengthen his grip on the dark side.
Instead, he found confusion.
Vader reached into the Force, extending his perception across the galaxy. He felt his master's unease. Emperor Palpatine, always so confident, now uncertain.
Vader felt the disturbances himself.
Two anomalies. One resisted.
One negated.
He'd tried to probe the first, the disciplined soldier, and found mental fortifications unlike any Force resistance he'd encountered.
Not a Force barrier.
Something else.
Augmentation. Mechanical enhancement.
The mind functioned with computer-like efficiency, emotions locked behind protocols and training so intense it might as well have been programming.
Vader knew discipline.
He'd been trained by the Jedi, twisted by the Sith. But this was different. This was a weapon that thought, that adapted but never wavered. The second anomaly, though that one burned. Vader reached toward it and immediately withdrew. The rage inside that being wasn't passionate.
Wasn't emotional.
It was absolute.
Eternal.
The kind of fury that had no beginning and would have no end. Vader had slaughtered younglings, destroyed planets, tortured innocents. He was the Empire's fist, soaked in blood. And he instinctively knew. If he stood between that warrior and his objective, he would die.
Vader's mechanical fist clenched. What are you?
His voice echoed through the dead world. The Force offered no answers. In his throne room on Coruscant, Emperor Palpatine studied holographic data with growing irritation. His Inquisitors had engaged the anomalies, two dead, one hospitalized with a shattered spine. His fleet commanders reported impossible tactics, one-man assaults that should have failed but didn't.
Stormtrooper casualties were mounting.
And worst of all, he couldn't see them. Precognition, his most valuable tool, showed futures fracturing around these two like glass around bullets. Every plan he formulated collapsed into chaos the moment they entered the equation. "My lord," an aide ventured carefully, "perhaps we should capture them, study them. If they're not Force-sensitive, they might be replicated, turned into weapons for the Empire." Palpatine's yellow eyes narrowed. "You assume they can be controlled. Everything can be controlled, my lord. Through pain, through leverage, through the Force," Palpatine interrupted coldly. "Which neither of them respond to. One resists, one erases. Do you understand what that means?" He leaned forward, robes rustling. "It means every technique I've mastered, manipulation, fear, precognition, is useless. They are blind spots, and blind spots are either eliminated or avoided." He steepled his fingers, thinking. The disciplined one aided rebels, but strategically, efficiently. No grand speeches. No inspirational nonsense. Just cold, perfect tactical execution. That one could be worked around, perhaps. Outmaneuvered through sheer numbers. The other one, though the slayer that was a problem. He didn't follow patterns. Didn't retreat. Didn't negotiate. Just advanced until everything in his path was dead. How did you outmaneuver something that didn't care about survival, only killing? "Send word to all Imperial forces," Palpatine commanded. "Avoid direct engagement with the anomalies unless absolutely necessary. Observe, record, learn their limits." He smiled thinly. "And prepare contingencies. If they cannot be turned, they will be eradicated." The aide bowed and left. Alone, Palpatine reached into the dark side, feeling its currents. The Force whispered warnings: danger, disruption, chaos. Two variables his careful empire hadn't accounted for. He'd destroyed the Jedi by exploiting their rigidity. He'd conquered the galaxy by predicting his enemies. But how did you conquer what you couldn't predict? For the first time since his ascension, Palpatine considered the possibility that he might lose. Then he dismissed it. Losses were for the weak. He would adapt. And then he would crush them. The Empire didn't wage war, it executed policy with overwhelming force. When a threat emerged, you didn't negotiate. Didn't debate. You deployed sufficient firepower to erase the problem from existence. It was efficient. Clean. Absolute. Admiral Trent Cassian commanded the Imperial Third Fleet, 18 Star Destroyers, 400 support craft, and enough firepower to sterilize planets. He received his orders directly from Coruscant: neutralize the anomalies, designated Target Alpha and Target Beta. Capture if possible, destroy if necessary. He chose destruction. "All ships," Cassian transmitted from his command deck, "converge on the Lothal sector. Target Alpha has been tracked to a rebel supply base. Target Beta is en route to intercept an Imperial convoy in the same region. We will eliminate both simultaneously." His subordinates exchanged glances, uncertainty masked as discipline. They'd seen the reports. Two individuals had killed hundreds, destroyed capital ships, resisted Force users. Deploying an entire fleet against two targets felt excessive. Cassian saw their doubt. These targets have decimated 3 garrisons, killed 2 Inquisitors, and compromised operational security across 4 sectors. The Emperor demands results. We will provide them. The Third Fleet entered hyperspace. On Lothal, Master Chief coordinated rebel defenses with practiced efficiency. The supply base hidden in Lothal's northern mesas was critical food, medicine, ammunition for a dozen cells. Losing it would cripple the rebellion in this sector. Imperial scouts had discovered its location. An assault was inevitable. Chief reviewed terrain maps, calculated sight lines, and positioned anti-air batteries with mathematical precision. Rebel fighters watched him work, still uncertain about this stranger who'd appeared from nowhere and started winning battles. He didn't demand their trust, just their compliance. "They'll hit us from 3 vectors," Chief explained, highlighting the holomap. "East, west, and orbital drop. Standard Imperial doctrine. We collapse the eastern approach with detonators here." He marked positions. "Funnel them west into kill zones. When the orbital drop begins, we're already evacuated through southern tunnels." Commander Sohn frowned. We're abandoning the base? We're preserving lives and resources, Chief corrected. Bases can be rebuilt, people can't. He turned to face her, visor impassive. You win by surviving, not by holding ground. It was the most he'd said at once. Sohn realized something: this warrior wasn't just tactically brilliant.
He cared.
Not through speeches or sentimentality, but through actions. Every plan minimized casualties. Every strategy prioritized civilian evacuation.
All right, she said. We follow your lead. Chief nodded once.
30 minutes until contact. Move. 16 parsecs away, Doomguy tore through an Imperial convoy like a storm through paper. He'd intercepted the transport ships hauling prisoner slave labor destined for factory worlds. The convoy wasn't prepared for boarding. No one boarded moving starships. It was suicide. Doomguy didn't care about protocol. He'd launched himself from a stolen TIE fighter, crashed through a transport's viewport, and began systematically clearing decks. Stormtroopers flooded corridors. He moved through them like inevitability itself: shells, fists, improvised weapons ripped from walls. The prisoners, chained in cargo holds, heard the carnage above and didn't know whether to hope or pray. Then the doors exploded inward and a blood-soaked warrior stood silhouetted against emergency lighting. Go, Doomguy said one word, gravelly, final. The prisoners ran. He provided cover, holding choke points while unarmed civilians fled to escape pods.
Blaster fire carved trenches in his armor. He didn't slow.
When a full platoon of stormtroopers tried to lock him down with suppressive fire, he charged directly into them, grabbed a trooper's rifle, and used it as a club until it shattered. Then he used his fists. The last prisoner escaped. Doomguy set charges on the transport's reactor and leapt into space, firing his thrusters toward the next ship. Behind him, the transport detonated, a miniature sun blooming against the void.
Imperial command tracked the chaos with rising panic.
He's destroying the entire convoy, alone. All ships weapons free. Kill that thing. Turbolaser fire filled space. Doomguy dodged, weaving between capital ships, using debris as cover. He landed on a Star Destroyer's bridge tower and started tearing apart sensor arrays.
The destroyer lost targeting.
Its guns fired blind, hitting friendly ships. The convoy descended into chaos. Admiral Cassian received these reports while en route. His jaw tightened. Accelerate schedule. Third Fleet exits hyperspace in 30 seconds. All fighters launch immediately. I want overlapping fire patterns. Nothing survives. The Third Fleet emerged from hyperspace above Lothal like metal gods. Star Destroyers blotted out the sun. TIE fighters poured into atmosphere by the thousands. Orbital bombardment cannons charged with humming finality. On the ground, rebels stared upward in horror. New plan, Chief said calmly. Evacuation now, everyone moves. They'll destroy the base, someone protested. Then we make sure no one's in it, Chief replied. He was already moving, coordinating retreat paths, ensuring civilians went first. The rebels obeyed not because he commanded, but because his certainty was contagious. The bombardment began. Green lances of superheated energy carved through mesas, vaporizing rock and steel. The base disintegrated. But by the time the dust settled, every rebel and civilian had vanished into tunnel networks Chief had mapped hours earlier. Cassian watched the ruins through his viewport. Ground teams confirm casualties. Searching now, Admiral. But thermal scans show no bodies. They evacuated. Impossible. We gave them no time. Someone organized them, sir. Perfectly.
Cassian's expression darkened.
Target Alpha. The disciplined one. Deploy all ground forces, sweep every tunnel, every cave. Find them. 10,000 stormtroopers descended. Chief led the rebel column through winding tunnels, motion tracker updating constantly. He identified Imperial sweep patterns, predicted their movements, and guided his people through gaps in the net. It was like conducting a symphony of survival, every note precise, every movement calculated. When stormtroopers did intercept them, Chief engaged with brutal efficiency. Short, controlled bursts.
No wasted ammunition.
Rebels watched him fight and understood. This was a soldier who'd perfected warfare into an art form.
Above Lothal, Doomguy arrived.
The Slayer had hijacked an Imperial shuttle, overridden its transponder, and bluffed his way into the fleet's formation. When hangar control demanded clearance codes, he provided the only answer he knew.
Violence.
The shuttle crashed into a Star Destroyer's main hangar at full speed, skidding across deck plating, crushing TIE fighters. Doomguy emerged from the wreckage into a hangar filled with hundreds of stormtroopers. He smiled behind his visor.
What followed wasn't a battle, it was a massacre.
The Slayer moved through the ship like a virus, killing crew, destroying consoles, sabotaging reactors. Cassian watched internal security feeds with mounting horror. One single warrior was dismantling a capital ship from the inside. Seal all bulkheads. Vent the... Doomguy tore through sealed bulkheads.
Deploy security droids. Gas the corridors.
He wore sealed armor. Where are the Inquisitors? Dead, sir. He killed them first. Cassian felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Fear. Below, Chief led rebels to safety. Above, Doomguy crippled a Star Destroyer. And across the galaxy, the Empire realized a terrifying truth. They couldn't stop them. The two warriors, one tactical, one unstoppable, were rewriting the rules of war. And the Empire had no counter. Battles are chaos-made manifest sounds, fury, split-second decisions between life and death. But sometimes, in the heart of chaos, two forces meet and chaos itself holds its breath. Master Chief emerged from the tunnel network onto Lothal's southern plains just as the first Star Destroyer crippled. Burning began its death spiral toward the surface. Rebels scattered, seeking cover. Chief's HUD calculated impact trajectory, 800 meters northeast.
Shockwave radius would reach their position.
He adjusted, guiding people to safe zones, always 3 steps ahead. Then his motion tracker lit up.
Unidentified content.
Fast. Single target, descending via Imperial shuttle wreckage, repurposed as a makeshift drop pod.
Chief raised his rifle instinctively. Trained response.
Unknown contact in active combat zone equaled potential threat. The wreckage hit ground and something asterisk walked out of the fire asterisk. Doomguy emerged from burning metal, armor scorched black, cape shredded, but asterisk whole asterisk. His visor scanned the battlefield, rebels fleeing, stormtroopers regrouping, another Star Destroyer descending to provide air support. Target-rich environment. Then he saw Chief. 2 warriors locked eyes across 50 meters of scorched earth. Neither moved. Neither spoke. But something passed between them, recognition older than words.
Soldier to soldier. Warrior to warrior.
The kind of acknowledgement earned through 10,000 battles, not through rank or title. Chief lowered his rifle fractionally.
Not trust. Evaluation.
Doomguy's fists unclenched slightly.
Not peace. Calculation.
Around them, the battle raged.
TIE fighters strafed the plain. Stormtroopers advanced in formation.
ATST walkers crested ridges, cannons tracking targets. And between it all, 2 strangers from impossible universes faced each other in silent question. Asterisk enemy or ally?
Asterisk, the answer came from the Empire.
An orbital strike warning shrieked across Imperial channels. Cassian, watching from his flagship, had seen enough. Fire all batteries on these coordinates. Eliminate both targets simultaneously. Green death lanced down from orbit. Chief's training kicked in: identify threat, evade, survive. He sprinted left, shields flaring as superheated energy carved trenches in the ground. Doomguy didn't evade. He charged toward the blast, toward danger, because running implied fear and he'd forgotten how to feel it. The orbital strike missed by meters, close enough to throw him sideways into a crater. He rolled, came up firing at descending stormtroopers. Chief saw it happen, saw the other warriors' absolute refusal to retreat and made a decision that would reshape the war. He pivoted mid-sprint, targeting the nearest ATST. Calculated shot. Weak point under the cockpit. Single burst. The walker collapsed, crushing stormtroopers beneath. Doomguy noticed. Saw the green warrior shooting his asterisk targets, providing suppressing fire while he recovered. The Slayer's eyes narrowed. Then he moved not away, but toward Chief's position, clearing a path through stormtroopers with brutal efficiency. They reached the same cover a crashed lot transport at the same moment. Hunkered behind twisted metal, orbital bombardment raining around them, they operated without speaking. Chief reloaded, tracked air targets, provided precision fire. Doomguy leaned out, absorbed incoming blaster bolts on his armor, and annihilated anything that got close. It was perfect coordination. No communication, no planning, just instinct born from decades of war. Chief tossed a grenade calculated arc, timed detonation. It destroyed an advancing squad. Doomguy ripped a panel off the transport, used it as a shield, and charged into walker fire to close distance. He leapt onto an ascent, tore open its hatch, and hurled its pilots into the ground. Chief provided covering fire the entire time, reading the other warriors' movements like they'd trained together for years. Rebels watching from a distance couldn't process what they were seeing. Two completely different fighting styles, one calculated, one ferocious, flowing together like they'd been designed as a matched set. Sohn whispered, "What are they?" Kale Vordoon, the Jedi, reached into the Force. He saw echoes, two parallel wars, different universes, endless battlefields. One warrior forged in duty and sacrifice. Another forged in rage and righteousness. Both absolute in their purpose. "They're what happens," Kale said softly, "when war becomes a person." Above, Cassian watched his ground forces falter. Every tactical advantage, numbers, air support, orbital bombardment, meant nothing. Target Alpha adapted, predicted, outmaneuvered. Target Beta simply destroyed whatever stood in his path. And together they were unstoppable. "All forces, withdraw to secondary positions," Cassian ordered, voice tight. "Prepare the Inquisitors for—" He stopped. The Inquisitors were dead. 10th brother, 7th sister both eliminated. His super weapons were corpses. For the first time in his career, Admiral Trent Cassian considered retreat. On the ground, the stormtrooper advance broke. Officers shouted orders, but soldiers hesitated. You couldn't fight what you couldn't predict and couldn't kill. The two warriors moved through Imperial lines like physics given form, inevitable, merciless, unstoppable. When the last walker fell, silence descended. Smoke drifting. Fires crackled. The Empire's assault had failed. Chief and Doomguy stood 10 meters apart, surrounded by wreckage. Chief's shields were at 30%. Ammunition reserves low. But status, operate. Doomguy's armor was half melted, scorched, dented. He was bleeding from a dozen wounds. He didn't care. Status, eager for more asterisk. They regarded each other again longer this time. Chief analyzed. No Imperial markings, combat efficiency beyond standard parameters, armor technology unknown. Conclusion, either advanced irregular unit, or origin unknown. Threat level, undefined. Current status, ally of circumstance. Doomguy saw something different. Saw discipline where he had rage. Saw precision where he had fury. Saw a weapon that that protected, that fought with purpose beyond killing. Something almost noble. The Slayer had fought alongside warriors before. Mostly they died. This one wouldn't. Chief broke the silence first. "You're not with the Empire." Statement, not question. Doomguy's silence confirmed. "And you're not with the rebellion." Another pause. Then Doomguy's gravelly voice, rough from disuse. "Don't care about sides, only enemies." Chief processed. Simple, absolute. He understood simple and absolute. Then we're on the same side. Doomguy nodded once, a tiny gesture, but it carried weight. Agreements forged in battle were the only kind he trusted. Rebels approached cautiously. Sohn looked between the two warriors, one green and gold, one scorched and bleeding, and felt history pivoting. "Who are you people?" Chief turned to her. "Someone who wants the same thing you do, which is?" He gestured toward the retreating Star Destroyers. They'll be back, larger force, better prepared. You need to evacuate this system. And then what?
Son demandet. Run forever?
Doomguy spoke again, voice like grinding stone. Or fight.
2 words.
But in them, a promise. Asterisk, we fight until they're gone, asterisk. Chief glanced at the Slayer, recalculating. Alliance solidified.
Strategy forming.
Together they'd just changed the war. The Empire was learning to fear.
And fear was the beginning of defeat.
Fear is the Empire's oldest weapon.
Fear kept systems in line. Fear silenced dissent.
Fear made populations bow before the Emperor's will without firing a shot. But fear is a tool that cuts both ways. And for the first time since the Clone Wars ended, the Empire felt it themselves. On Coruscant, deep within the Imperial Palace's war room, holographic projections displayed a galaxy in flux. Red markers indicated Imperial defeats minor at first, but spreading like infection.
Lothal. Halthor IV.
Kryn. Bakura. Every marker corresponded to one or both anomalies. Every battle ended the same way. Imperial forces routed, casualties catastrophic, objectives failed. Admiral Cassian stood before a council of officers, his uniform crisp despite the exhaustion in his eyes. He'd survived Lothal by retreating a word that tasted like poison. The targets are coordinating, he reported, voice flat. Previously they operated independently. Now they fight together. Combined arms effectiveness has increased by estimated 400%. A general scoffed. 2 individuals. We have billions of stormtroopers, thousands of capital ships. How can, because they don't die, Cassie interrupted coldly. We've deployed everything short of base Delta Zero planetary sterilization. Nothing works. The disciplined one adapts faster than we can change tactics.
The aggressive one simply doesn't stop.
We shot him into space, he survived. We vented corridors, she tore through bulkheads. We collapsed tunnels, he dug out. Silence settled over the war room.
Uncomfortable. Uncertain.
Recommendations? Someone asked quietly. Cassian's jaw tightened. Avoid direct engagement, fortify critical assets, accept minor losses, and pray they lose interest. It was the admission of a military that had run out of answers. The Emperor received these reports in his meditation chamber, alone with his thoughts and the dark side's whispers. Palpatine had built his empire on controlling the Senate, the Jedi, the Force itself. Every variable accounted for. Every future predicted. But these two, he couldn't see them. The Force showed possibilities, but the moment either warrior entered the equation, futures fractured. It was like trying to predict weather by studying individual raindrops. Possible in theory, impossible in practice. And worse, they were inspiring hope. The rebellion's membership had surged. Recruiting numbers tripled. Entire systems that had accepted Imperial rule now whispered about resistance. Not because of propaganda, not because of politics, but because 2 warriors had proven that the Empire could be beaten. That overwhelming power wasn't absolute. Hope spread like wildfire. And Palpatine, who'd extinguished hope with Order 66, felt it rekindling. Unacceptable, he hissed, yellow eyes gleaming in darkness. He reached deeper into the dark side, pulling on reservoirs of power accumulated over decades. If the Force couldn't predict them, he'd change the battlefield itself. Make them come to him. Force their hand. He activated a secure channel.
Initiate Protocol 13, Tartarus Array activation.
The aide's hologram flickered with barely concealed shock. My lord, the Tartarus stations target civilian populations. Using them would demonstrate the cost of defiance, Palpatine finished coldly. Target 3 worlds. Chandrila, Alderaan, and Corellia, civilian centers, billions of lives. The anomalies will respond, they always do. And when they arrive, the station's defenses will erase them, and if they don't respond, my lord. Palpatine smiled thin, cruel. Then billions die, and the galaxy remembers why they fear me. Either outcome serves the Empire. The order went out. 3 Tartarus Arrays orbital weapons platforms designed to crack planetary shields and sterilize continents moved into position. Their targeting computers locked onto cities. Countdown initiated. 72 hours. The rebellion received the news with horror. Sohn's hands shook as she read the transmission. They're going to kill billions, not military target civilians, families, children. Chief stood nearby, reviewing tactical data. His voice remained level, but something harder crept into his tone.
It's bait. I don't care. Sohn snapped.
Bait or not, we can't let. I didn't say we let them, Chief interrupted. I said it's bait, which means we spring the trap carefully. Doomguy, cleaning his shotgun in the corner, stopped. His helmet tilted toward Chief, a question unspoken. Chief pulled up schematics of the Tartarus arrays. Each was a fortress: shields, automated defenses, elite garrison forces. Designed to withstand rebel fleets. Designed to be impregnable. 3 targets, 72 hours, Chief calculated aloud. We can't hit all 3 simultaneously, can't disable them remotely, systems are isolated, have to infiltrate physically. Then we split up, Sohn said desperately.
Divide rebel forces.
No. Chief's tone left no room for argument.
Splitting our strength gets everyone killed. We prioritize.
Prioritize?
Sohn's voice cracked. Which billions do we choose to save? Which billions die?
The room went silent. It was a commander's nightmare, the trolley problem on a galactic scale.
No good answers.
Only horrible choices. Doomguy stood. His presence filled the space not through size, but through the absolute certainty radiating from him. He walked to the holographic display, studied the 3 target worlds, then pointed at all 3.
That's impossible, Sohn whispered.
Doomguy's visor turned toward her. Behind scorched ceramics, eyes burned with something beyond human stubbornness. Don't care. Chief studied the Slayer. Saw the determination, not heroic, not noble. Just absolute refusal to accept unacceptable losses.
Chief understood that. Spartans were taught to complete the mission.
But the real asterisk mission was always protecting humanity.
All of humanity.
It's tactically unsound, Chief said quietly.
But he was already calculating. Already planning. 72 hours, 3 targets, 2 operatives.
Sohn repeated. Rebel forces support, but insertion and sabotage just us. Chief highlighted routes, defensive patterns, optimal strike times. His mind worked like a combat computer, finding solutions in impossible equations. I take Chandrila and Alderaan. You, he nodded toward Doomguy, take Corellia. 1 man against an entire fortress? Someone objected. Doomguy's response was simple. He loaded a shell into his shotgun. The sound said everything. Chief continued. Timing is critical. All 3 arrays have to be disabled within a 2-hour window, or the survivors will activate early. No room for error. No room for error, Sohn echoed hollowly. You're talking about perfect execution across 3 simultaneous operations separated by light years. 1 mistake and billions die. Chief's voice remained steady, not confident, but certain. Then we don't make mistakes. He'd said it before. On Halo. On Requiem. On Earth when the Covenant invaded.
Spartans didn't make mistakes.
Not when humanity was on the line. Doomguy grunted agreement. He'd stormed hell itself. Killed gods and demons.
Saved reality more than once.
Orbital weapons platforms run by fascists. Just another Tuesday. The planning began. Rebel techs provided what intelligence they had: patrol patterns, shield rotations, garrison strength.
It wasn't enough. It was never enough.
But Chief worked with what he had.
Always had.
Doomguy didn't plan. Didn't strategize. He memorized the target, the objective, the location. Everything else was just obstacles. As the 72-hour countdown began, across the galaxy 3 billion people went about their lives unaware that death hung over them. Unaware that their survival depended on 2 warriors from universes they'd never heard of. Aware only that the Empire's shadow had grown darker, and that hope fragile, Desperate still whispered. Asterisk, someone is fighting back, asterisk. The 72-hour countdown reached 0 at precisely 0600 Galactic Standard Time. 3 Tartarus arrays, orbiting 3 worlds, prepared to fire. Billions held their breath without knowing why, an instinctive certainty that something terrible was about to happen. It didn't. On Chandrila, Master Chief moved through the orbital station like a ghost through machinery. He'd infiltrated through a maintenance airlock 16 hours prior, stolen Imperial shuttle, forged clearance codes, perfect timing during a shift change. Once inside, he'd moved methodically, mapping patrol routes, identifying key systems, locating the weapons control core.
Stealth wasn't his preference, but it was effective.
He reached the primary targeting computer, a massive chamber filled with processing banks, guarded by 24 stormtroopers and an Inquisitor. Chief had 90 seconds before the automated firing sequence became irreversible.
He used 45 flashbang grenades through ventilation shafts, perfectly timed.
The Inquisitor's force senses screamed warning, but not fast enough. Chief dropped from the ceiling, landed behind the command console, and began uploading Cortana's override virus.
Stormtroopers recovered, opened fire.
His shields absorbed the hits. The Inquisitor ignited his lightsaber, screaming rage, and charged.
Chief didn't engage.
He dodged, weaved, kept the command console between them. The Inquisitor's strikes carved through terminals, sparking, destroying secondary systems. Chief led him on, calculating, precise, ensuring every swing damaged Imperial equipment. The upload hit 98%. The Inquisitor realized the trick and force-pushed Chief across the room. Armor slammed into bulkheads. Shields dropped to 15%. The Inquisitor raised his blade for a killing strike. Cortana's voice chirped in Chief's helmet. Upload complete. Firing sequence locked out.
Chief's rifle snapped.
Single burst. The Inquisitor's head snapped back. He collapsed.
Chandrila.
On Alderaan, Chief's second objective unfolded simultaneously. He couldn't be in 2 places at once, but he'd anticipated that. He'd spent 14 hours training a hand-picked rebel strike team, uploading tactical frameworks, turning them into a precision instrument. They hit Alderaan's Tartarus array exactly as planned. Breaching charges on shield generators, sniper fire on command personnel, timed explosives on reactor conduits.
It wasn't flawless. 3 rebels died. 7 wounded. But they succeeded.
Alderaan, saved.
On Corellia, Doomguy's approach was simpler.
He'd launched himself from a cargo freighter 12 hours early, drifted through space in low-power mode, and landed on the station's hull like a meteorite.
No stealth, no subtlety.
The moment his boots hit metal, he tore open an exterior hatch and asterisk entered asterisk.
Alarms shrieked.
Bulkheads sealed. Automated turrets deployed. Doomguy walked through all of it. Turrets exploded under shotgun fire.
Sealed doors crumpled under his fist.
Stormtroopers formed firing lines. He charged through them like an avalanche through kindling. The station garrison numbered 800.
Elite forces. The Empire's best.
It didn't matter. Doomguy moved through corridors, leaving carnage in his wake, blood on walls, shattered armor, broken droids.
No tactics. No finesse.
Just overwhelming, unstoppable violence. Security feeds showed him advancing toward the weapon core, unstoppable as planetary rotation. The station commander, a decorated Imperial admiral, watched with growing horror. Deploy everything, gas the corridors, vent to space, collapse sections. They tried it all. Doomguy adapted.
Sealed his armor against gas.
Magnetized his boots against vacuum. Dug through collapsed sections with bare hands. Nothing slowed him. Nothing stopped him.
50 minutes into the assault, the Slayer reached the weapon core.
4 Inquisitors waited the Empire's final defense.
They'd fought Jedi Masters,
destroyed rebel champions, mastered the dark side's most devastating techniques. Doomguy killed the first one in 3 seconds, grabbed his lightsaber mid-swing, headbutted him through his helmet, moved on. The second lasted 5 seconds, tried to force choke him, failed, died with his spine shattered. The third and fourth attacked together, coordinating, using every technique. They lasted 12 seconds combined. Doomguy stood alone in the weapon core, surrounded by bodies, and found the firing controls. Didn't understand the language. Didn't care. He simply started smashing consoles until sparks flew and systems died.
Corellia, saved.
All three worlds, billions of lives pulled from the edge of extinction by two warriors operating with perfect execution. The galaxy felt it immediately. News spread faster than hyperspace how the Empire's ultimate threat had been neutralized by insurgents led by two impossible soldiers. Holonews broadcasts showed footage. Green armor moving with inhuman precision. Blood-soaked armor walking through fire. The Empire tried to suppress the footage.
Failed.
It spread across 1,000 worlds in hours. Hope surged. Rebel recruitment exploded. Imperial desertion rates spiked.
Entire sectors questioned order.
In the Imperial palace, Palpatine watched his carefully constructed empire beginning to fracture. His withered hands gripped his throne. The dark side whispered warnings: danger, upheaval, futures collapsing.
He'd gambled on fear. And lost.
Find them, he commanded, voice venomous. I don't care what it costs. Find them and asterisk in them asterisk. But the Emperor's most loyal officers hesitated. How did you find what you couldn't predict? How did you end what refused to die? Admiral Cassian, recalled to Coruscant in disgrace, stood in the war room studying reports.
3 Tartarus arrays destroyed.
Combined Imperial casualties, 400 personnel.
Enemy casualties 0.
No bodies recovered. Both targets escaped. It's not possible, an officer muttered.
No one's that good. Cassian's eyes were hollow.
They're not good. They're asterisk, absolute asterisk. They don't fight battles, they solve them. Like math problems with only one correct answer: victory. Then how do we stop them?
Silence.
Because nobody had an answer.
Across the rebellion, celebrations erupted. 3 worlds saved.
Billions alive.
Proof that the Empire could be beaten.
Sohn stood on a rebel cruiser's observation deck, watching Alderaan rotate peacefully below, and felt tears she didn't know she'd been holding.
We won, she whispered. Against impossible odds, we actually won.
Kael Vordun, the Jedi, stood beside her. He'd watched through the Force seen the battles unfold, felt the shifting currents of destiny. Not we, he corrected gently. Them. 2 warriors who don't use the Force, don't follow prophecy, don't wait for destiny. They just act, decisively, perfectly. Are they heroes?
Sohn asked.
Kael considered. I don't think they'd call themselves that. They're just soldiers doing what soldiers do, protecting those who can't protect themselves. But yes, in every way that matters, they're heroes. On a stolen Imperial corvette fleeing Corellia, Doomguy sat in silence, cleaning his weapons. His armor was half destroyed, held together by force of will. He'd saved billions. Didn't feel like celebrating, just felt ready for the next fight. On a rebel transport leaving Chandrila, Chief reviewed mission data.
3 objectives completed. 0 acceptable casualty. Billions saved. Mission 6.
But he knew this was just one battle. The war continued. He thought of the Slayer fighting alone on Corellia, refusing to accept compromise. They'd succeeded through complementary strengths.
Precision and fury. Strategy and annihilation.
The Empire had learned fear. The rebellion had learned hope. And 2 warriors had proven that destiny was just another obstacle to overcome. The war wasn't over. But the momentum had shifted.
The galaxy was changing.
Wars don't end with single victories. They end when one side can no longer sustain the will to fight. After the Tartarus array operation, the Empire's will didn't break but it cracked hairline fractures spreading through Imperial command structure, logistics networks, morale.
Systems began questioning orders.
Governors delayed troop deployments. Fleet admirals suddenly found reasons to avoid high-risk sectors. The Emperor felt his grip weakening. Not failing, not yet, but loosening. For a man who'd controlled a galaxy through certainty, uncertainty was poison. Master Chief stood in a rebel command center on the forest moon of Endor, studying strategic displays. The rebellion wanted to capitalize on momentum, launch major offensives, liberate core worlds, strike at Imperial infrastructure. They wanted him to lead these offensives, to become their general, their symbol. He'd refused. "I'm not a symbol," Chief told Sohn during a quiet conversation. "I'm a soldier. Soldiers complete objectives. The moment I become a symbol, I stop being effective." "But people need hope," Sohn argued gently.
"They need something to believe in." Chief's visor reflected holographic star maps.
"Then give them competence. Give them strategy. Hope is just another word for well-executed tactics." He paused, then added something rare, a glimpse beneath the armor. "I've seen what happens when people follow symbols instead of plans. Symbols die, plans adapt."
But he stayed. Not as a symbol, as an advisor.
A tactical consultant who turned rebel chaos into precision strikes. Under his guidance, the rebellion stopped bleeding resources on symbolic victories and started winning strategic ones.
Supply lines secured. Command structures decentralized. Civilian evacuations prioritized. The rebellion became effective. Doomguy took a different path. He'd never integrated into rebel command. Didn't attend briefings. Didn't coordinate. He simply appeared where the fighting was worst, where the Empire crushed innocence, where brutality reigned and ended it. Slave labor camps liberated overnight. Inquisitor strongholds left as smoking craters. Garrison worlds left abandoned, their forces fled in terror. Sohn tried coordinating with him once.
"If you just communicate, we could support your operations." Doomguy had looked at her with those eyes that had seen hell's depths and replied, "Don't need support, need targets."
And he'd left. Solo.
Always solo. But his impact was undeniable. Every Imperial atrocity he disrupted sent a message. Cruelty has consequences. The Empire learned to fear midnight.
Learned to fear the sound of distant explosions.
Because when those sounds came, morning found only corpses in Imperial uniforms and freed prisoners fleeing toward rebel space.
Months passed.
The war evolved. The Empire adapted, creating specialized hunter units to track the anomalies. Chief outmaneuvered them through superior intelligence and rebel networks. Doomguy killed them all. A strange equilibrium formed. Chief stayed near rebel operations, providing the strategic backbone they'd always lacked. Doomguy roamed the outer rim, a nightmare the Empire couldn't shake. They crossed paths, occasionally brief moments where battles aligned their trajectories. They never spoke much. Didn't need to. Just shared ammunition, covered each other's extraction, and separated again. Once, after a brutal fight on Scarif, Chief asked the question he'd been considering for months. "Your war, the one you came from, is it over?" Doomguy checked his shotgun, not looking up.
"No. Then why stay here?"
The Slayer did look up then. Behind the visor, something burned. "Because here needs me. There will wait." Chief understood. The mission wasn't going home. The mission was protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. Geography didn't matter. Only the objective.
"And you?" Doomguy asked Rare for him.
"Your people, you want to return?" Chief was quiet for a long moment, thinking of the UNSC, of Earth, of battles left unfinished. "Yes," he admitted.
"But not yet. Not while this galaxy still needs."
He trailed off. Needs what? Someone who finishes what they start.
They'd parted ways after that.
Two warriors from impossible wars, fighting a third war that wasn't theirs, because it was the right thing to do. Years later, whispers would spread across the galaxy. Stories told in cantinas and command centers, passed between smugglers and senators. Tales of two warriors who changed the course of history without prophecy or destiny. The disciplined one, who taught the rebellion that hope wasn't faith, it was planning. The relentless one, who taught the Empire that cruelty invited not submission, but annihilation. Some said they were Force users hiding their power. Others claimed they were advanced droids. A few insisted they were myths, entirely propaganda symbols created by desperate rebels. But the freed slaves knew better. The liberated worlds knew better. The stormtroopers who fled their posts rather than face them knew better. They were real. And they were winning asterisk. The Empire never fell completely, not in one dramatic battle. But it withered, fractured, lost systems to rebel offensives guided by perfect tactics, lost garrisons to midnight raids that left only blood and silence. The Emperor raged, deployed superweapons, burned worlds in retaliation, and found that cruelty only created more targets for two warriors who'd made cruelty their enemy. Master Chief remained with the rebellion, building something lasting.
Not a symbol, a system.
A military structure that could win without him. Doomguy disappeared into the unknown regions, following reports of Imperial experiments, dark rituals, dimensional weapons, things that resembled his old enemies too closely to ignore. They never saw each other again. But the galaxy they'd changed remembered. Two paths through a galaxy at war, both leading toward the same destination, *victory*.